Time now at 5:37. Miss Kelsey Soby joins us. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, you guys.
Good morning.
Unfortunately, we already have one.
Good morning.
We got
I'm
it.
hoping to be an adult of the year. I'm sorry.
Congratulations.
So Peter, thank you.
We'll stand by you on your growing journey.
I appreciate that.
Outside already, we have a crash out there, so even when we're having a little trouble already today, we don't have any major slowdowns. I'll be here all morning, though, to help you out as you get ready to head out the door. Right now, it's 5:39. They got on Twitter this morning. I don't know if they're going to be able to handle anything colder than what it is now. Buck up, guys. Winter's just getting underway. East side of town right now, we're looking over at Woodbury, the junction of 94, 494. At this hour, we're just seeing people start to wake up, head on out. Maybe some of you actually heading home, but just enough activity to show there are people awake in the Twin Cities, but no slowdowns yet. We're not seeing any crowding out there. Plenty of room to move over here in the Woodbury area. Checking out a few other spots. Not so lucky here, 494 at Maxwell Avenue. Still not a big impact from this crash. We do see travelers slowing a bit as you pass by. It looks like it's the ramp northbound 61 onto 494 westbound where we have this crash, and already a tow on the scene to try and get that cleared away. So hopefully it will not impact the masses that will travel through this area a little bit later this morning. Looking to a few other spots out there, we are seeing 394 eastbound traffic continuing to build at this hour. Those are the headlights heading toward downtown Minneapolis and doing so at the posted speed. Looks like gas prices are stable since yesterday. I'll detail where you can find the cheapest gas prices in the Twin Cities this morning coming up. Don and Jason?
Thank you, Kelsey. Coming up.
About now, we've had several crashes, one right after the other already on this morning's commute. It's a little too early for that, I think. Yesterday, we did have cold enough temperatures that we did see a little black ice, especially on those ramps and bridge decks, and that did contribute to some of the crashes we saw. And the pattern was such that we found most of our crashes happening on those ramps and bridge decks. Today will be more of the same, perhaps. We did already see one ramp crash, but this one not related to that. This is a look at 35W southbound at 694. At this junction, we have a crash here that happened. Now, also, just before I saw this incident, I had heard a report that there was some hay in the roadway, so some debris was strewn about. Sometimes that causes people to put the brakes on really quickly, and that can end up in a crash. Right now, regardless of what came first, we do have slowdowns as you approach the situation. Then just a little north of there, a second crash, 35W southbound at 96. So unfortunately, it was sort of the series of events that led to what is now a big backup there on the north side of town. So keep that in mind. If you are traveling 35W, you will need to allow a little extra time today. Looking at a few other 94, that has now been cleared away. And just a few moments ago, we cleared away another crash, which happened 169 southbound near 7th Street. So still looking green. So we are still moving at 55 miles per hour out there in most areas, despite the fact that we have several crashes at this early hour. Guys?
It's not good. Not the way we want to start out our Tuesday.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Fox 9 Morning News. It's Tuesday. We are still moving our way through the week, and it's kind of chilly out there. Makes it hard to get out of bed. I have a tweet from Ingrid saying stinking cold in Minneapolis today. Don't want to get out of my warm bed. Maybe you can relate to her. And unfortunately, those of you who are heading for 35W on the north side of town, you're really going to wish you hadn't got out of bed this morning because you're dealing with a big backup already at 626. So what happened? A couple different things. One, we had some debris in the roadway, apparently some hay strewn about. Then we had two different crashes that occurred both within just a couple mile stretch. So right now, slowdowns start on 35W southbound starting at 95th Avenue. Here's the scene of one of the incidents. This is at 694, near that junction of 694 rather. And there's a little north of here at 96. That's where our other crash was as well, but it looks like that one has at least been cleared away off the main line. Looking at 52, another slow day for those of you traveling 52 northbound after a crash near that Lafayette Bridge. Again, on days like today, it's cold enough, especially at this early hour. We could have some black ice and ramps and bridge decks 10 by Humboldt. Again, this is that area where we're having trouble on 35W. And on the south side of town, we already cleared a crash that happened 169 at 7th Street and also one in the Southeast Metro as well. So a lot of crashes for this early hour. I'll be standing by letting you know if we have some more. The time now is 6:27. Everyone, the cold temperatures outside once again creating the conditions such that black ice can rear its ugly head. Unfortunately, already a few crashes this morning. In fact, a lot more than usual for this early hour, and a lot of them happening on ramps and bridge decks, which tend to be more vulnerable to those slick spots of that black ice forming. Here's a look at 35W southbound at Highway 96. We have a couple different crashes slowing traffic. 35W southbound now backed up all the way to 95th Avenue. This is just one of them here. here. You see the sea of brake lights as you try and push southbound. Also a crash at the junction of 694 and 35W slowing us down. And earlier this morning we had some debris in the roadway, which I think maybe contributed to the first of these two crashes. Looking to another spot out there, Highway 55 at 5. If you're heading to the airport, maybe allow a few extra minutes, especially if you're traveling westbound on 55. This is a little distracting and is causing people to put the brakes on. This crash happened just after you passed the Mendota Bridge, so I'm a little suspicious maybe the crash happened actually due to the slick conditions near the bridge, and then the officials just sort of push it to the side to make it easier for you to get through. And 252, we're also seeing that mess here I just showed you in those jam camps. And here's a look at your south side of town, where we're not doing too bad, despite that we have had a couple crashes down here a little earlier on, which have been cleared away. A few of you tweeting me some routes you're passing through. Joe Lang wants to know about Highway 36. Looking pretty good through Roseville, Joe, at least for now. In the 7 o'clock hour, though, things will start to get backed up, especially on that westbound side. That's it for now from the world of traffic. Guys, back over to you.
All right, thank you.
Cold once again creating some slick conditions in a few parts of our metro area. That includes mostly ramps and bridge decks. Just seems to be more vulnerable to that black ice. In fact, in the southeast metro here at 494 Maxwell Avenue, right near that junction of Highway 61, this is the second crash that we had in the same spot. Looks like maybe most of the vehicles involved in it have now been cleared away, but it goes to show that the patterns where we're having the crashes seem pretty similar, near or on a ramp or bridge deck. And being that this is the second one in the same area, I have to say it probably makes sense. Here's a look at 55 westbound as you're traveling along. You cannot exit right now into Fort Snelling. That ramp is blocked off after a crash. A little bit of a minor slowdown as you pass by here. If you're heading to the airport using 55, there's a crash here you should be aware of. Up and go mode starting all the way north, County Road 37. This stays slow until you get down to the Rogers area. A crash apparently earlier at 101 and 94 got this backed up, and Mark Ranstrom is probably just one of many who is curious as to why we saw the backups beginning. We see traffic pretty heavy, especially around those crash sites, and I'll be standing by to let you know where more of them come, but it does look like it has something to do with the cold temperatures.
Hasn't been a good morning so far. Yeah, thanks, Kelsey.
Happy Tuesday, everyone. Welcome back to the Fox 5 Morning News. I'm Kelsey Soby with a lot of news this morning in the world of traffic. In fact, our trouble started pretty early. Our first crash in the morning commute probably around 5-ish today, and the string of crashes have only continued. So let's dive right in. If you're traveling the 494 corridor over in the southeast metro, bad news for you in both directions. Very slow moving traffic. We're looking in the eastbound side where we have a crash. It looks like we have some activity on the right and left shoulders, but over here on the westbound side, really backed up. It's just a crawling. You're lucky if you're moving at all. Here's a look a little farther east at Pilot Knob Road, just a sea of brake lights heading in the westbound direction. Here are the eastbounders who actually do have to navigate past that crash. So if you have an alternate route, maybe worth trying it today, as that does look pretty miserable. Here's a look at 94 and 7th Street. We have a crash here. It looks like it's right in the center lanes, making things a little difficult as you pass by this area. Hearing reports of black ice out there that could be contributing to these accidents, especially on those ramps and bridge decks. That's where we have had a lot of the crashes this morning on those types of surfaces. Johan Nielsen tweeting black ice on the 94 bridge this morning. So a lot of reports. At 94 101 has been cleared, but still some backups all the way to County Road 36. And we're watching a crash 35E in Little Canada. I'll have another report coming up in about 10 minutes. Keeping you posted on all the activity. Right now, though, it's not cold and started early, and it's continued. A lot of crashes out there today. The one culprit I know is out there is some black ice. Other than that, maybe just a lot of people trying to get to a lot of places today, and those few crashes sometimes leading to the congestion that causes a secondary crash. So careful out there as you head out the door. The biggest risk for the black ice is on those ramps and bridge decks. Right now, we're looking at what appears to be a beautiful day up in the sky. Check it out. It's nice, a nice view, but down below, you're probably thinking, I have way too much time to take in that view, as you're moving very slowly. 694 at Silver Lake Road. We had a crash right near the junction of 694 and 252, finally cleared away after quite a while, and now we're dealing with the backup still remaining. So we're starting to pick up the pace. If you're going to head out the door maybe 30 minutes or so from now, you might be okay, because hopefully we'll start to see some of that loosen up. A few other spots out there, 494 at Pilot Knob Road, still very slow going in this stretch of the southeast metro. If you're traveling 494 from Inver Grove Heights into the Bloomington area, it's very slow going on both sides. We've had crashes on the eastbound side and on the westbound side. Still a vehicle remaining over on the side of the road there. Also 94 at 7th Street. This is in the St. Paul area. As you're trying to get into the downtown, find your area to park in, you'll be dealing with the backups here. And I feel sorry for those of you who have to catch the bus today. Gina at China Guns, she tweets, oh, she has to wait for her bus this morning. 15 minutes of traffic. Those of you traveling 101 southbound into Rogers. Finally, we cleared that crash 694 at 252. We still are working on clearing a crash at County Road I on 35W southbound. That's still backing things up. We've had a few crashes 35W southbound this morning, and still an incident being worked on 35E up in Little Canada. So several spots today, very slow going. Over in the Southeast Metro is probably the worst right now. 20 minutes from Dodd Road to 35W along this stretch, and it looks even worse than that from what I see on the cameras. So bundle up. If you're sitting in the car for a little while, you will probably be blasting that heat because, as Keith Marler can tell us more now. Hey, good morning, everyone. Our morning rush hour has been a little bit more brutal for many people today than you probably were expecting on what seems like a calm, chilly, average January day. But we're looking outside right now, 35E at Little Canada Road, where we are in stop and go mode. We had a crash up here near Little Canada Road, and we're still seeing southbounders very slow going all the way as you travel down into the St. Paul area. Traffic and driving even worse for some people, and it's for some random reasons actually. And I like Kirsten just tweeted that she saw her ex in rush hour traffic, so she's extra perturbed that she was sitting in traffic today. Here's 94 at Portland Avenue, westbound traffic not slowing too much after a crash here, and despite the fact westbound is still really backed up after a crash finally cleared at 252 Northwest Metro. Kind of a typical day, but it's that south side where things are still pretty brutal at this hour. So if you can avoid 494 along this stretch, I would try. Otherwise, just allow yourself a little extra time. And hopefully you don't see any X's in traffic. That just stinks. We'll see you back here along the stretch of 494. I'll detail that coming up.
All right, Kelsey Soby has been counting down a lot of traffic accidents today.
Right.
Goodness.
You wouldn't expect it. It looks fairly calm out there. Keith even said it's 5E details just starting to come in. So stay tuned. I'll have more for you coming up on what exactly is going on there. 35E near Maryland Avenue. Also a couple crashes 35W southbound this morning got things backed up. Still trying to gain some momentum westbound through the Fridley area after a crash near 252. Northwest Metro, not too bad considering what we're dealing with down in the south side of town. Again, that Bloomington stretch, if you can avoid it, heading from the east side into Bloomington, I would, because right now, whew, Highway 61 to Minnesota 77, 85 minutes and counting. Avoid it if you can. I'll have another update coming up in about 20 minutes. Right now, though, at 8:09, it's time 61, or even east of there, heading into the Newport area, traveling westbound, staying south of St. Paul, and you continue being slow all the way to Cedar Avenue. So at this hour, we're finally starting to see some of that congestion break up in this area, so that will start to improve the drive from here. But as you saw in that view at Hardman Avenue, still very slow going. Now, a little farther north, that's the other spot we're worried about at this hour. We have that multi-vehicle pileup, 8 cars, according to a source at MnDOT. And that happened on the northbound side, but that's still impacting our southbound travelers. So right now, from 694 down to University, even if you're traveling on the side where the crash didn't happen, you're looking at about 20 minutes at least, and I think that number continues to rise. Unfortunately, not a great way to start the day, Tom, but we'll keep an eye on all of this for everybody, of course, and give details as they become available.
Right, some big old messes. Thank you. Appreciate it, Kelsey.